Netanyahu is a very influential figure in the events, not only because of his hidden hatred for the Palestinians, because there are people who hate him, such as Ben Gvir, for example, or Smotrich or others. The Yemeni extremist parties are very, very evident. Their injustice, dawn, and their many words against the Palestinians express very, very strong hatred and clear racism. But because of other very important things, first of all, of course, this is his 6th term. For the Prime Minister, the accumulation between it and the Palestinians is long. Between him and them, there are very, very long battles and debates, and therefore his victory in a battle against them is a matter for him inevitable in the issue of his life, in which he has very long years left. Other very important needs, if he is prosecuted in many criminal cases, and the continuation of the war, and this constant violence and constant escalation keeps it in place. They keep the leadership of the Prime Minister, because if he means that the war stops, things can calm down, and after that they will depose him, and if they depose him, he will be brought to trial, and if he is brought to trial, the matter may remain in prison. For him, life and death, the continuation of the war, protect him. Also, the Yemeni parties who are with him say to him, by God, if the war does not end, we will withdraw from the government, and their withdrawal from the government means overthrowing him, because he is united with his party alone, and the Likud party is united. He doesn't get out. Government alone, what is it? It is not useful that the government is doing it with small numbers in the government, and therefore it needs votes, ministers, and a special House of Representatives for the Yemeni parties that support it, and working countries. A condition for their continued support is the continuation of the war. Therefore, Netanyahu's presence in the issue has made the issue difficult in the way we see it, and the continued support for it. L, for the continuation of the war, support for the army, support for the soldiers, etc. Could Netanyahu get out of the picture? I mean, it is possible in a moment of leadership, and things change relatively in the land of Palestine. I say it is possible, and there are signs of that. There are signs that the people themselves, the Israeli people who live in Palestine, are not at all satisfied with Netanyahu's performance after these long months in the war, and it is still very close. On May 23, 2025 AD, pollsters in Israel broadcast this poll on Israelis. What do they ask the public's opinion in Netanyahu's performance? When they ask the audience about the reason for the war and its continuation for this long period, meaning 600 days now, I mean, what is the reason? 55% said that the goal of continuing the war is for Netanyahu to remain in power, which means that the people understand the issue and read that Netanyahu is not loyal to a cause. Disposal is not a priority for Israel. From Hamas, he is not loyal to the issue of securing the people living in the Gaza Strip. He views it as a purely personal issue, and for the sake of it, he recruits soldiers, marshals, armies, and allocates the state budget to whatever its economy can be devoted to. To the last extent, an important point was reached. 55% said that it was because of this, because Netanyahu remained in power. 36% said the goal was to return the hostages. 9% said they were not sure whether they had come here or here, and when they asked, the participants in the survey also asked about the reason for the failure to reach a deal to liberalize the bet until this moment, especially after the first ceasefire. Of 53% said we failed for political reasons, not for reasons on the ground, for political reasons, especially for Netanyahu, and 38% answered that it was for legitimate reasons, and 9% also said they were not sure. When they were asked whether Netanyahu, I wonder, convinced them of the continuation of the war, or did he not convince them? 62% said they did not convince us. We were not convinced of Netanyahu's reasons for continuing the war. 34% said that he convinced us, and 4% said they were not sure. This means that the people are not convinced of the continuation of the war, and therefore they have no objection to him abandoning Netanyahu's leadership for the sake of the public interest. Israel has a number one date. It is clear that there is a clear disagreement between Trump and Netanyahu. It is not a disagreement between Israel and America. A partnership between Israel and America, an ongoing strategic partnership. Events like this do not stop it, but Trump does not like Netanyahu's performance. He feels Netanyahu is entering paths he does not want to enter into them. It conflicts with the interests of America. It conflicts with the interests of my personal respect. I see that it is the major escalation between them. This can be said about things. And this was said, by the way, by a close Israeli writer as well last week, as an Israeli writer named Eran Yashab. He is an economics professor at Haaretz newspaper. He wrote an article and said that the situation has reached the greatest degree of crisis between Netanyahu and Trump. He can arrange anything to remove the golden Netanyahu from power. And this is what the Israeli writer said. He has many mechanisms within the Israeli government, within the Israeli media, Israeli intelligence, and others. He can use them to remove Netanyahu at the same time. Israel itself, it is possible to sacrifice Netanyahu because its partnership with America is 1,000 times more important than Netanyahu's leadership, so it has no objection if it is. About him, Lou Shaven, America can lift its hand, even relatively or partially, from support. Because if America lifts a deposit on supporting Israel, Israel collapses in an instant, and so they may sacrifice Netanyahu and remove him from the picture, the need. And the third is Netanyahu's deteriorating health condition. Every now and then he enters the operating dome and he has a prostate and he has health problems, advanced age, and the atmosphere is very turbulent and the pressures are very intense, the pressures of war and the pressures at home and abroad. Palestinians and the Israelis themselves, opposition, and he has very, very huge pressures. He may not be able to continue the journey in this atmosphere. I mean, these are the things we said. The opinion, the people are not flawed. Trump agrees he is not flawed. He agrees his health condition is round. Maybe all of this will take him out of the picture. Someone says to me, well, if he comes out with a picture that divides us, I mean, what is the entire Israeli government? It means you are fighting and the army is fighting, and the whole thought, direction, and American support. Among Europeans and others, the difference might seem minimal, but I insist it is significant. As mentioned earlier, these distinctions set apart one leader from another.